Today's video, I'm going to talk about Arizona's automatic firearm statute. It's one of the laws that causes a lot of confusion here in Arizona, and so today I'll try to explain it, as best as I can from the guidance we've received from the courts, the Court of Appeals, things like that over the last couple of years. As I record this in 2026. There's been a little bit of case law that kind of clarifies Arizona's automatic restoration statute. And so if you don't know, basically in Arizona, if you're a first-time offender and your case was completed, you got done with probation, you paid all your fines, everything like that, if your case was completed after September 24th, 2022, your rights, your firearm rights and your civil rights, your right to serve on a jury, hold elected office, things like that, all your civil rights are automatically reinstated. That was a law that was signed by the governor back in, I guess 2021 maybe, and then it was implemented in 2022. And so, again, if your case was completed after 2022, you fall under this automatic restoration of firearm rights and civil rights. Specifically, if you want to Google it, it's Arizona Revised Section 13907. That's the law that automatically restores rights here in Arizona. And really, there's some requirements, but the thing is, basically, the main thing is that the case can't be a dangerous offense. And I guess that's probably obvious or probably expected. You can't have a dangerous felony conviction. It has to be your first one, first felony conviction. You can't have multiple felony convictions. And like I said, it has to be after 2022 to apply under this statute. Now, you might be sitting here in 2026 and you're like, well, I want to, can I just basically go down right now and buy a gun? And the short answer is no. And the reason why is because you have to prove that your rights were automatically reinstated here in Arizona. And basically what you'll have to do is you'll have to get the court papers from your sentencing, the court minutes, basically all the notations of the court documents saying that what date you were sentenced, when you were discharged from probation, when you paid off all your fines, all that stuff that's in the court docket, in the court records, you'll have to get all that stuff and then have that proof. And then you're gonna have to submit that to Arizona Department of Public Safety. And so that's kind of the step that most people don't know. Or I guess a lot of people think that, if you're a convicted felon, you've lost your rights to carry a firearm, and that is correct. I mean, it used to be, if you're a convicted felon, you gave up that right to own that constitutional right to own a firearm. But there is now, like I said, there's a law to say that your rights are automatically restored, but it doesn't happen literally automatically. And what I mean by that is let's say you've been charged with a class 6, some drug case that was dropped down to a class 6 or whatever, and you did 3 years of probation, you paid all your fines, and you were discharged from probation. Well, the day that you're discharged from probation and all that stuff is completed, you go down to the gun store and you try to buy a firearm, well, you're going to be denied. And the reason why you're going to be denied is because the gun owners, or the gun shops, basically they're going to submit a request to the FBI, ATF, things like that. And all of those databases are going to say that you had that Arizona conviction. And so, and that's even if all this stuff was done after 2022 and your rights were automatically restored. So basically my point is it doesn't happen automatically. It's not like the day you get done with probation, the FBI is notified that you have that felony here in Arizona. And so what you're going to have to do is you'll have to, like I said, get that paperwork from the court and take that down to Arizona Public Safety. at Arizona Public Safety, you submit basically all your proof that your case was after 2022, you've paid off all your fines, it was your first time offense, it wasn't dangerous. You give them all that paperwork, and then the Arizona Department of Public Safety will notify the FBI, ATF to update their records. So then after that, when you go in to try to purchase a firearm, it'll show that you're not a prohibited possessor under Arizona law. And so that's one step that you'll have to do even if you qualify under this automatic restoration law. And so that's what you'll need. Now you might, and again, I keep saying that you have to be like a first offender. You might want to know, you might be wondering, well, then what's a first-time offender here in Arizona, or what's the definition of a first-time offender here in Arizona? And basically it is kind of what it says. It's like, long as you're not convicted of a felony in the past, this is your first felony, you're going to qualify under the law, basically saying that you're a first-time offender. So you can have misdemeanor cases in the past. You can have, civil traffic tickets, or you can even have a misdemeanor DUI case, which is a criminal case, but it's a misdemeanor case. As long as you don't have any felonies, if this is your first felony under the law, then you are a first-time offender in order to fall under that 13907, the automatic restoration statute here in Arizona. So just remember that. And then, like I said before, if you, as long as the case wasn't designated dangerous, then you fall under the statute also. So that's basically what a first-time offender is here in Arizona. And then also you might want to know what the what absolute discharge means. And basically that just means that everything is done. You've paid off all your fines, you paid off all your restitution, you paid off all your fees. Everything like that. Sometimes you'll get, what's called early termination. Your probation officer will say that you're doing so good that, I'm going to terminate your probation early. A lot of times when that is done early, they will make sure that you've paid off your fines and fees, restitution, before they do that early termination. So in that, good scenario, you can, you'll know that you've had the absolute discharge, and that means that everything is done, because your probation officer will have to double check that before they terminate you early. But anyway, so that's what absolute discharge means. It basically means that you've done everything that you had to do. And so finally, I'll basically say that, you might be sitting here in 2026 and your case was done after 2022. And so if you want to just check to see that if your rights have been automatically restored, all you would have to do is go down to the court, get your certified copies of your court record, and again, just make sure that your sentence was done after 2022. It was labeled non-dangerous. You've paid all your fines, all your fees, all your restitution, and make sure that this was your first offense. If you make sure all that stuff is done, then you would qualify under Arizona's automatic restoration law here in the law after 2022, if your case was after 2022. Now, again, in my experience of, filing motions to restore rights, I haven't had a lot of calls where people have qualified under this new statute, because most of the time, the people who call my office, they've had cases that they got done with or before 2022. And so so they don't fall under this automatic restoration. And also, most of the times people have more than one felony. And so if you have more than one felony, then you don't fall under this automatic restoration statute. And so that's kind of like the practical aspect of why I don't see a lot of these type of cases. But obviously when somebody calls the office and they do fall under that, we tell them, and so then they're pretty much good to go. They just have to submit all the the proof to the Arizona Department of Public Safety. So that's it. So that's kind of, like I said, that's Arizona's automatic restoration law. There was a couple cases in the appellate court last year, and I don't know if there's anything new, but this was late last year. They were fighting over the start date of the law. I think some guy he had a conviction, and I think that he got done with all of his sentencing and fines and paying all that stuff. And he got done, I think it was like a week before the law came into effect, and he was basically saying that the law should apply backwards. And the court said no. They basically said that the law applies, this automatic restoration applies for people after September 24th, 2022. So there was clarification from the court just last year. So that's why I make this video today. But anyways, if you have any questions, please leave them in the comments. Again, I run my law firm here. You can contact you can check out my website. I have a ton of information on my website. It's woodforklaw.com, woodforklaw.com. You can also email me at derronw, that's derronw@msn.com. And just, if you have any questions, just let me know about, again, about restoring your rights in general, or if you have any specific questions regarding this new, the new Arizona automatic restoration of firearm rights here in Arizona, the statute. So anyways, thanks for watching. Please like the video and subscribe to the channel. Thanks.